Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a situation pretty much everyone runs into, going out to eat.
Right, everywhere.
We've got some source material here that's really focused on, using English in restaurants. And our mission today is to sort of cut through it all, pull out the absolute essentials.
Get you the practical stuff.
Exactly. Give you the knowledge and hopefully the confidence to feel, well, natural next time you're ordering, asking for the check, all that stuff.
It's like a shortcut, drawing out the key bits,
Yeah.
words, patterns, culture.
Yeah, even some surprising language science behind it all.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. What are the sources telling us?
Well, it's funny how universal eating out is, but yeah, the language, the norms, they can be really specific. And this deep dive, it really shows how getting these interactions right helps build fluency practically.
Absolutely. And the sources give us a clear place to start the core vocabulary. If you're just starting or, need a quick refresh, what are those must-know words?
Okay, yeah, the absolute basics. You need to know who's serving you, waiter or waitress.
Right.
What you look at, the menu. If you called ahead, your reservation, then the parts of the meal, appetizer or starter, then the main course or entree, maybe dessert.
Okay.
Drinks are beverages. When you pay, the bill or check. And the money you might leave, tip or gratuity.
And telling them how many people.
Ah, yeah, good one. Like, table for two, please. Those are really foundational.
Okay, covers the main things. And there was that specific point, almost like a quiz question in the source, about entree. Means different things, right?
Yes, that's a really key thing the source points out. In American English, entree is the main course.
Not the starter?
No, not the starter like in some other places. So knowing that regional difference is pretty useful.
Got it. Entree equals main course in the U.S. Okay, so we know the nouns, but how do you actually ask for something? Pointing seems less than ideal.
Slight chuckle. Yeah, probably not the best. The sources really stress using simple, polite phrases, not just give me chicken. More like, I'll have the mud. Or, could I get? There's actually a nice little example dialogue in the material.
Okay.
Someone says, hi, could I get the grilled chicken with mashed potatoes, please? Simple.
Right.
And the waiter replies, sure, would you like something to drink? See how direct but still polite it is.
Yeah, that idea, the sources mentioned calm, confident, and kind English. That really shows there. No need for fancy sentences.
Exactly. It's about using the right simple tools for the job.
And speaking of context, the sources actually walk us through a whole, mini play, a typical restaurant chat. Help see how it all fits.
It really does. So picture this place, the Golden Spoon. You arrive.
Okay.
Waiter greets you, asks, do you have a reservation? You say yes, under Ahmed. They show you to the table. Standard stuff.
And then drinks, usually.
Yeah, next step usually, ask about drinks. In this example, it was just a glass of water and a lemonade. Simple.
Then menus, time to decide. Follows that predictable path we talked about.
Precisely. Then, when they're ready, they order grilled salmon with rice, chicken pasta, and they added an appetizer, garlic bread. So a full, pretty common interaction.
What I found interesting is how the source then kind of pauses and says, look at the language used there.
Right.
It points out how polite and simple it all was.
Oh.
Could I get, would you like, please? It really hammers home that you don't need, super complex grammar.
That calm, confident, and kind English again.
Yeah, that's what works.
It's less about showing off grammar skills and more about, using the standard social toolkit effectively.
And this connects straight into something about language learning science the source mentioned, which I thought was fascinating.
Yes, the situational learning concept. Researchers find that practicing in these predictable situations where the conversation follows a known script.
Like in a restaurant?
Exactly. It's super effective for building fluency. Your brain learns faster because it kind of knows what's coming. It anticipates.
So because restaurants generally follow that sequence, arrive, drinks, order, eat, pay. It's like a perfect practice ground. Lower stress.
Precisely. That predictability is a huge leg up. You're not constantly scrambling.
And the sources make another smart point. When you use those polite phrases, could I have, I'd like, you're actually practicing modal verbs.
Which can be tricky.
Right. Things like could, would, may, sometimes even conditionals.
Yeah.
Stuff often seen as, more advanced grammar.
So just ordering food becomes smart learning, as the source puts it. You're using these slightly more complex bits in a really straightforward, practical way.
Yeah, and that ties into that quiz point again.
Yeah.
What's a polite way instead of give me?
And the answer is those phrases, could I have, or I'd like. It shows how politeness is baked right into the language you need.
Okay, so We've got the words, the pattern, the learning science. But eating out isn't just language, is it? It's culture, too. And the sources hit on that, especially tipping.
Ah, yes. This is where things can really differ, region to region. Super important cultural point.
Let's break down what the sources said about tipping expectations.
Okay, so the general vibe is US or Canada, tipping is pretty much expected, usually like 15% to 20%.
Standard.
In the UK, maybe check the bill first. Sometimes the service charge is already included.
Okay.
But then places like Japan, tipping isn't common at all. Trying to tip might even feel a bit, well, awkward or rude.
And that Japan point was another quiz question, right? True or false? Tipping is common in Japan.
And the answer's false.
Yeah,
It's a good reminder not to assume things work the same everywhere.
definitely. What other manners did the sources bring up beyond tipping?
Just the, generally expected good manners in many English-speaking places.
Wow.
Making eye contact, saying please and thank you, waiting your turn to speak or be seated. Small things, but they add up.
Right. So putting it all together, the sources give us the knowledge and then some specific phrases to really practice to kind of internalize these patterns. What were some of those examples?
Yeah, to build that confidence for those moments, they suggest practicing things like, hi, I'd like a table for two, please.
Okay. Arrival.
Then, could I see the menu when you're set? I'm ready to order.
Makes sense.
Ordering itself. I'll have the chicken curry, please. End of the meal. Could we get the check, please?
The crucial ending.
And showing appreciation. Thank you, the food was delicious. Just running through those helps make them automatic.
This whole deep dive, it really underlines that handling a restaurant in English is, well, it's more than just a word list.
Definitely. It's about the flow, using that predictability to learn better, knowing the cultural bits like tipping.
And just using clear, polite language, that smart learning idea, that simple phrases like, could I have, are actually practice for trickier grammar.
Yeah, that's a really powerful takeaway. It makes everyday interactions feel like valuable practice.
And like the sources say, every single phrase you learn and use in a real context like this, it's a real step forward.
Which leaves us with a good question to chew on, maybe. If restaurants are such a great example of predictable situations for practice, what other everyday scenarios, common situations in your life could you maybe use in the same way to build that confidence, that fluency?
Something to think about as you continue your English journey.